I get really embarrassed.
Janet Jackson was publicly called out by her nephew, TJ Jackson, in a truly bizarre way. But his reasoning behind his criticism was pretty strange, and it ended up sparking a huge debate online. So what exactly did TJ say about his famous aunt? The details surrounding his disapproval and why he made such critical remarks about Janet are seriously crazy, so let's break them down. According to Radar Online, in February 2023, TJ unexpectedly threw major shade at Janet on Twitter. A throwback video from one of her live shows had been posted on the platform, and it showed her suggestively dancing against one of her fans on stage. TJ decided to share his thoughts, but what he revealed was honestly insane. TJ responded to the clip by tweeting that he had never liked when his aunt danced like that during her concerts. But then he got into why he wasn't a fan of her seductive performances, and his reasoning was pretty outrageous. TJ added that he didn't like how overly sensualized Janet was because he believed it was degrading. When a Twitter user suggested that he only felt that way because she was his aunt, he expanded on his opinion in an unbelievable way. TJ explained that he didn't like when Janet or any other female artist portrayed themselves in a suggestive way. He claimed that it not only diminished their talent, but it also sent an unhealthy message about objectifying women. But he didn't stop there. TJ also mentioned that he liked the "That's the Way Love Goes" Janet, referring to her song and its music video. He basically implied that she only showed the full extent of her talent when she wore clothing that covered up her body and danced in a much more modest way. Not surprisingly, TJ's comments about his aunt led to a very heated discussion. While some Twitter users appear to agree with TJ's stance, it seemed like the majority of people replying to his tweets found his opinion problematic. Atlanta Black Star reported that when someone accused TJ of having misogynistic double standards, his response was incredibly controversial. TJ claimed that men aren't as objectified as women and seemingly refused to see the issue from another perspective. But when he continued trying to defend his point of view, he ended up making even more people upset. TJ explained that female artists weren't doing themselves any favors by portraying themselves in an overly sensualized way because it only created a negative image. He added that he disliked whenever women were overly sensualized in art because, in his opinion, vulgarity is not art. Several people replied to TJ and brought up that at times his late Uncle Michael had danced in ways that were even more provocative than Janet during his performances. But of course, TJ moved the goalpost yet again, and what he said was honestly crazy. TJ fired back and argued that his aunt was a lot dirtier than his uncle had ever been. He also claimed that Michael's music videos had never objectified women and said that had been the point he was trying to make all along. Many Twitter users called TJ out for shaming Janet and accused him of attempting to stifle her body positivity and self-confidence. Others slammed him for intentionally trying to paint female artists in a negative way. A lot of people in TJ's replies also argued that it simply wasn't his place to police women's bodies or how female entertainers choose to express themselves in art. One Twitter user not only questioned his criticism of his aunt, but also raised an extremely valid point. They asked TJ why he always praised Michael, but never had anything positive to say about Janet, even though she had broken down barriers and broken records. Janet has been in the music industry for over 40 years, and she really has made a huge impact. She's topped the charts and has inspired so many people, including other female artists, to pursue their dreams. So why does it seem like she's always being unfairly scrutinized in the media? While it's true that Janet might have pushed boundaries at times with her performances, a lot of people believe that she actually helped the feminist movement. Many people have considered her to be a feminist icon. Janet has also had a super successful career that spanned nearly 5 decades, and she's still known around the world as a popular entertainer. And no matter how people feel about her, it's not like she's any more centralized than other pop stars. However, TJ could possibly have his own personal reasons for not giving Janet the same praise as Michael. A little over a decade ago, he played a surprising role in a massive Jackson family argument, and it might have influenced how he feels about her to this day. What happened was seriously bizarre. According to the New York Post, in July 2012, a judge declared TJ as the temporary guardian of his late uncle's 3 kids. But up until then, the children's grandmother, Catherine, had been their legal guardian following their father's passing in 2009. At the time, the Jackson family had been publicly feuding with each other over Michael's estate. However, things took a shocking turn when Michael's kids tweeted that Janet had allegedly tricked their grandmother into leaving the estate. But that wasn't all. Michael's oldest son, Prince, accused his aunt of blocking his and his siblings' attempts to communicate with Catherine. He also shared a screenshot of a group text thread, which included many of the Jackson family members, and what it revealed was absolutely crazy. Prince had sent a text in the group chat demanding that he and his siblings be allowed to talk to Catherine immediately. But when Janet responded, she instructed her relatives to not let the kids contact their grandmother. So when TJ was appointed temporary guardianship, he told the court that he would be taking action to protect Michael's children. Later that month, TJ's attorney released a statement to E! News that revealed that Janet and two of her brothers, Randy and Jermaine, had been banned from Catherine's home. At the time, that's where TJ and the kids were staying. But even when Michael was alive, TJ had always been closer with him than he was with Janet. The New York Post reported that TJ was only a teenager when his mother tragically passed away in 1994. But after her passing, one member of the Jackson family stepped up and decided to look out for TJ and his two brothers. Michael was reportedly there for TJ and his brothers right away. He was a huge source of support for them during their time of need, and even years later. TJ and his brothers later decided to start a band of their own, which was called 3T. They claimed that their choice to make music, as well as their sound and style, had been heavily inspired and influenced by Michael. While it definitely seems like TJ's close bond with Michael may have been a factor in why he praised him during his critique of Janet, it's still kind of odd. He's rarely said anything positive about his aunt, even though she and Michael's children have smoothed out most of their previous issues. So why was he so harsh and critical when he finally decided to speak about Janet? According to Metro UK, TJ deleted his tweets about Janet and other female artists shortly after he posted them. A few days later, he attempted to clear the air by clarifying what he had tried to say the first time around. TJ tweeted that he had never intended to come across as being shameful toward his aunt. He explained that he didn't mean to downplay Janet's success or talent at all. He added that in his opinion, she was the greatest female artist and there would never be another artist like her. On one hand, it's great that TJ was willing to set the record straight about his original remarks and specify what he had supposedly meant by them. But on the other hand, he repeatedly made his opinion very clear in those comments, and many people considered his stance to be pretty problematic. It's impossible to know whether TJ decided to delete his tweets out of respect for his aunt, or if he just wanted to avoid getting more backlash for his controversial point of view. But now that we've gotten into the insane way he called out Janet, I want to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on TJ's criticism of his aunt and other female artists compared to his frequent praise and defense of Michael? Why do you think he and so many others have accused Janet of being overly sensualized, even though she's not any more sensualized than other pop stars? Let me know in the comments below.